Welcome to the Find Your Calling channel. I'm your host, Christopher Wells. This is episode 13, and today we'll be looking at a final example of how you can address the commitments in your life in a way that will help create an environment best suited to help you discern your calling. Afterwards, we'll discuss how you can address the feelings of fear you may be experiencing as you begin this part of your journey. I'm excited to discuss today's material, so let's get started. We'll continue with the pattern used in our previous examples of defining the activity or commitment, then working through the questions that will help guide us in deciding how to temporarily dial back our level of commitment. Example number 3, the activity, kids soccer. In this example, we'll be examining how Joan works through her commitment to her involvement in her kids' sports. Joan is married with 2 kids, one of whom is named Jill. I'll first read the question, then I'll read Joan's reply. Number 1, why am I committed to this activity? Joan says, the kids need exercise, and soccer is a team sport that will help develop skills they need to work with others. Also, Jill seems to love it. Question number 2, what do I get out of it? Joan's answer is, I get the satisfaction of knowing that I'm doing something healthy and character building for my kids. Question number 3, how do I feel about my commitment to this activity? Joan replies, I love seeing them play and have a good time with other girls their age. It's a huge time commitment though, and sometimes I wonder if it would be better if we did something that didn't require us to be gone from home so much of the time. I feel like I'm constantly on the go. Question number 4, how can I temporarily reduce or eliminate my commitment to this activity during the disconnection period? Her answer, I could ask my husband to take the kids to practice once a week so I don't have to, and discuss with the family the possibility that I might only attend the games every other week. Hopefully my husband will agree to go solo on the weeks that I miss. Joan sounds as if she's committed to taking her kids to soccer for all of the right reasons. Her daughter Jill even seems to love the game. No problem here, right? Before I tackle that question, I want to acknowledge that commitments directly involving other family members are often complex and involve many different motivations and considerations. It's not always easy to discern our own emotions or motivations from a simple journaling exercise, and neither should we make the unilateral decision to end a commitment without considering the effects it will have on the others involved. Now, back to that question. Is there a problem here? Possibly. If the time commitment Joan is making keeps her too distracted to achieve that place of inner calm required to discern her calling, then yes, it's a problem. If Joan has a full-time job or other commitments that keep her busy all day, then she would certainly benefit from reducing her time commitment to the soccer effort. In addition to the ideas Joan mentioned above, another solution might be to have a discussion with the family in which they decide to skip a season of soccer altogether. There are many creative ways to reduce or eliminate the time spent on children's sports. For many people working through this step on their journey, it will be a necessary part of the disconnection process to address this issue. While we don't see any obvious signs of validation issues in Joan's response above, we need to consider that this commitment may also be providing unhealthy validation. Perhaps Joan's parents never let her play sports, and it was something she always wanted to do when she was growing up. Maybe she sees part of her success as a mother as being tied to providing her children with this opportunity. If so, then part of her value and worth as a mother comes from having provided her children with sports opportunities. I think we would all agree that it's a good thing to provide your children with opportunities to exercise and develop their ability to work as part of a team to achieve a common goal. Playing sports is often a good way to do that. However, if we feel we're a bad person if our kids don't play a sport, it can lead to a situation in which we might unknowingly coerce our children to do something that they don't actually enjoy. In this case, we may put so much emphasis on them playing a sport that they themselves begin to feel our love for them is somehow conditioned upon them being involved in the sport that mom or dad seems obsessed with. If Joan is influenced by any of these motivations, she would benefit from taking a break from team sports for her kids, because it would assist her in facing her own related identity issues and remove a source of unhealthy validation. It's relatively easy to identify areas of commitment in our lives that are non-essential. It's not as easy to identify which of these commitments we are unknowingly clinging to as a source of validating our self-worth or our identity. If you're able to make the connection to how the commitments you have made in your life connect to your identity at this point, that's great. If not, don't worry. That clarity will come as you move forward in the process. At this point, by seeking to eliminate or greatly reduce the non essential commitments in your life, you're paving the way for those revelations. Once you complete the journaling exercise demonstrated in this and previous episodes, you'll have the beginnings of a plan for implementing your own disconnection period. Take some time to review all the answers you've compiled for question number 4. How can I temporarily reduce or eliminate my commitment to this activity during the disconnection period? The answers you provided form an outline of what you can do to disconnect from unnecessary commitments and begin to expose sources of unhealthy validation in your life. Once you've reviewed these answers, set a target date by which you believe you can implement the steps you've outlined. That date will be your goal for beginning your planned disconnection period. Remember that the date you set is just a target. For some of you, implementing the steps you outline will take very little time. For others, it may take 6 months or more of planning and executing gradual steps before you can responsibly reduce your commitments enough to begin your disconnection period. How long it takes is less important than the fact that you're moving toward that goal. Your target date may change. That's normal. The important thing is that you set a target date and move toward that goal. Don't be discouraged if it takes longer to prepare than you expected. The very fact that you're planning and implementing the plan puts you one big step closer to your goal of discovering your true calling in life. It's entirely possible that you're experiencing some level of anxiety at the thought of making all the changes you've identified so that you can begin the disconnection phase. That's completely normal. For some of you, this amounts to making some drastic life changes that will completely alter for a time your lifestyle and also affect many of your significant relationships. I understand. Years ago, when I was experiencing some marriage issues, I decided that I needed to cut back on the number of hours I worked every week so that I could be at home more and make my marriage more of a priority. It wasn't an easy decision to make, but I decided that saving my marriage was more important than the temporary discomfort required to make the change. I ended up quitting my job in the city and taking a much lower paying job near home. It was a big decision, and it came at the very tangible cost of reduced income. But it was the right thing to do for my marriage, and I'm glad I did it. You may think that you couldn't possibly make all the changes I'm suggesting, but the truth is that you can. You just need to decide what's more important to you. Do you want to continue on the path that you're already on in hopes that it will one day lead you to fulfillment in life? Are you sure that it will? If you've made it this far in the series, then I think it's likely that you know that you need to make a change. If you want to find your true calling and the fulfillment that comes from living it out, then perhaps you need to take the leap of faith I'm suggesting. Once you've completed the planning process and begin implementing it, what's next? The answer to that question is what we'll address in episode number 14. There are specific steps you'll be taking in this time of disconnection that will ultimately lead you to discover your true calling. You won't want to miss that important episode. For additional information on the topic of finding your calling, please consider picking up the 2 books I've written on this subject, Find Your Calling Without Losing Your Mind, and Overcome the Obstacles and Succeed at Your Calling. Purchase links for both books can be found in the show notes below. If you find the information in these programs helpful, please subscribe and tell someone else about it. Remember, the world needs you to live out your calling. There's no one else who can do it but you. Thanks for listening, and may God bless your day.